Hello everyone, Prince Tutorial here, and today we're going to do the third and final part of our stealing series, and this time stealing generic lords. Now, to put some ground rules here, how do you steal a lord? Now, it's very similar to how you steal a hero. You actually use the same system, you use the allegiance system, you borrow an army, and to steal a hero, what you do is you wound an immortal hero, right? Either by battle or for other campaign effects, for the sake of the example. For lords, on the other hand, you need to get them wounded by attrition. It cannot happen in battle, and it cannot happen by any campaign effect whatsoever. It has to be by attrition. So you either have to take your lord into the high seas and have them die by attrition this way in the 10 turns that you have, or you put them in a swamp area, again, same idea, let them die out of attrition. Now, they have to be immortal, so either by any campaign effects like Norska by the tech tree, or UN bow mechanics specifically making any heroes or any levels be immortal, but they either have to be level 20 and above, therefore gaining automatically immortality, or by any other campaign means whatsoever. Now, I do want to mention something that is maybe obvious and maybe not. Stealing lords can be beneficial in some cases, and it can be just outright redundant in other cases. Now, I'm stating that for the simple reason that the red line skills that I'm going to show in a second apply only for the units in that specific race. So you can see that the red line here, for example, has a tag in the code for peasant mob, man at arms, spearman at arms, etc., etc. Same thing for the other units. Now, when you steal a lord into a new race, all his red line, or his or her, are just irrelevant. You cannot boost units in that new race. So you're practically relying on either the fact that this lord has a very good mount that you're lacking in your race, for example, flying mounts in races that they don't have any flying units, or him or her being a very good combatant. And then the question arises, is it even better to steal the hero equivalent of that lord and not wasting your time and effort on trying to steal that lord? Because you will get the same effect at the end of the day. If it's just a melee hero, then let it be a hero. Why is it commanding your armies? Because the lord has that extra benefit of actually boosting your units in the army. So this is like a quick intro on what are the different criterias that we're going to use for this tier list. Now, when we go back to the tier list, I do want to mention that even the S tier here is not really outright broken, okay? They do provide some new value to the new race that they've been stolen into, but they don't break the game. I will mention some cases where you can maybe try to do more with it, but frankly, it's mostly trying to mix and match different benefits. So S tier, or the highest tier here, adds some value to the new race. The other level is good to have it for variety. The next one is just flavor choice. If you want to have it, have it. If you don't, let it go. I will be talking a lot about having the hero equivalent to that specific lord. I do think that a lot of those lords that you see in here have an equivalent in a hero, and you'd rather steal the hero. Again, because of that reason where lords do boost other units in your army. So if you have the same effect by having, just for the sake of the example here on the high elves, why would you have an archmage of fire when you can have a mage of fire? Same race, same effects mostly. They both ride the dragon, etc., etc. I will talk about different examples. Don't worry about it. Don't even bother. It's just don't do it. And can't be stolen are reserved for all the lords that you can't steal using the allegiance system. To start things off, we'll go on the same order that we've done in previous videos, and we'll start with the Beastmen. Now, Upon further inspection, what I've realized that it's impossible to borrow beastmen armies, even when you are aligned to them, and even if you are vassalizing them, which was weird to say the least. I have never actually tried it before. I've posted the old video about the hero stealing, so frankly, it's a mistake on my part. So therefore, all those different lords here can't be stolen. And if I could change the rating that I've given the different Beastment heroes in the Stealing Heroes video, I would put them in a new tier where they can't be stolen. Either way, assuming they would have been able to be stolen, I would probably put them under Steal the Hero equivalent, since most of them do provide the same value, just like their hero counterparts. So for the Beastman, you have the Beast Lord that is pretty much the equivalent to the War Gore. You have the Doom Bull that is equivalent to the Bull Hero. And you have the Grey Shamans that are equivalent to the Bray Shaman heroes. And mostly they do have the same skill line in a way. So I wouldn't bother, even if they were able to be stolen, just steal the equivalent hero and you should be fine. For Bretonia, so we have the lords, the Bretonian lords, and we have the prophetess. And the same thing here. I would recommend just stealing the equivalent heroes. There's nothing that you gain by having the lord version of that hero. For the Chaos Dwarfs, I will say that the Overseer as lords do bring extra ammo or spell resistance to your armies. And you don't have an equivalent, so to speak, unit. Like you have the Castellans, but they're not really the same thing. So I will just put it under flavor choice. For the Demon Prophets, I would probably put them under Steal the Hero equivalent, since they are quite identical to their hero. So you have here the prophets, and on the other hand, the Chaos Dwarf sorcerers have the same pretty much skill line, and they don't provide any new value whatsoever. So I would probably steal the hero equivalent. All the lords from the Dark Elf roster do get that unique skill line where they choose a name of power. You can't abuse it to the point where you can have multiple names of power outside your race. So since there's a lot of RNG here, I would probably put them under flavor choice, even though I will put the master high beast master a bit higher, since he does boost the melee defense of monsters in his skill line with no regards to what race those monsters come in. So I can even imagine putting him in command of, let's say, Clan Molder armies, and he would provide some value. So he's good for variety, but not crazy big value. For the rest, I think I will put them under flavor choice. For the Supreme Sorceresses, I think you're better off just stealing the equivalent heroes and you should be fine. I wouldn't bother. For the dwarves, so they have different passive abilities that you can use, but they're not amazing per se. I can say that the Rune Lords have boosts for melee attack and armor and physical resistance to the whole army, and I think that's some value to a new race. Some races would love to have that, and it's a buff to the whole army. The Demon Slayers are good monster killers, but then again, you have the equivalent in a hero, so why bother? I will say that you also have an equivalent for the Rune Lord in the Runesmith, but he does provide a bit more. He's a caster, so that's nice. And for the Dwarf Lord, he has some passive abilities where he can boost melee defense and missile resistance for the army, but its passive ability is in a very small radius, so I wouldn't put that too high. So I will put it somewhere in the flavor choice. Now, the Empire has different buffs to speed and cavalry charge bonus, and some buffs for missile strength for the army. I think that's good. I will remind you the red lines are not applicable when stealing that lord into your faction. So if your lords in your faction boost your missile damage and your speed and charge bonus in the cavalry unit, it's better off using one of your lords that is already in your race rather than stealing the Empire one and getting those different buffs. The Archlector also provides some missile strength bonuses, so I will put him under Good Lord to have for variety. The Hunts Marshal. He has restock, some missile strength bonuses, um, flaming attack. I think it's mostly flavor choice. He also has an equivalent hero, so maybe even I'll put it here. Yeah, I think I'll put it here. And the engineer. The best boost that he brings is actually a range bonus for the army, and I think that's very important to increase range. He does have an equivalent in the hero, but I think he buffs a bit more than what the actual hero does. I will remind you again, he will not boost your, just saying, gunpowder units. He will boost them by his unique skill line, where he will have range bonus, but the red line is not applicable. I will repeat that 100 times because it's very important to understand that while doing this tier list. I don't think that any of those lords are better off in another race than in their original race, because whenever you have your own lords in your own race, the red line is applicable to all the units that you have in your roster, and usually what you will use is those units. So take that into very, very, very big consideration when you're stealing lords. For Grand Cathay has the Celestial General, which provides armor or weapon strength or charge bonus for the different units in your army. I think that's good for variety. For the Shugengan Lords, I think that they have nice lore of magic, so I will probably put them under flavor choice. Um, I will say that even though you have the let's say, kind of an equivalent hero. They have access to metal magic, and these ones have access to different lores of magic. Therefore, I'm putting them under flavor choice and not steal the equivalent hero. For the Lord Magistrates, I think that they are very good support lords. They do bring melee attack and melee defense for all the heroes embedded in your army. So if you are planning to do some hero Doomstack, I think he will provide a lot of value to that new race, because not all lords boost specifically heroes. So I will put him under adds new value to a new race. He does bring also ammo and speed and different passive abilities, but that's not why I'm ranking him this high. I'm ranking him this high because of the melee attack and melee defense for heroes. For the greenskins, so we have the Orc War Boss that brings pretty much nothing to the table, and he has some kind of an hero equivalent with the big boss Black Orcs. So I will put him under Steal the Hero equivalent. Same thing for the Shaman. He does have an equivalent in the Little Wa Wizard. I will say that he has access to an Arachnarok Spider, which is very, very strong mount, and also is a magic battery, so maybe I will put him under flavor choice because of that. Night Goblin War Boss. I think, again, he has a hero equivalent that does the job no less. And for the Great Shaman, same thing. He has a hero equivalent that does the job pretty well. This one has access to a Wyvern, so that's again another very good and strong mount. So maybe we'll bump it up a bit higher. For the high elves, the prince, the princess, and the archmages. So they mostly have different buffs for your economy and stuff, but not necessarily for your faction or for your units and armies. So I will probably put them under flavor choice. And for the archmages, I will say that they all have access to a dragon eventually. So if you're looking for a dragon, and specifically a caster that rides a dragon, they are very good lords to steal. Their hero counterpart are not really equivalent because most of them do not get access to a dragon, besides the fire one. So, because of that, I will put the Archmage Fire under Steal the Hero equivalent and the rest under flavor choice. Okay, Corn next. So, the Heralds of Corn do get the different locus abilities that their hero counterpart gets, therefore, steal just the hero. For the Blood Speakers, they don't have a hero counterpart, so to speak. And they do have different passive abilities on melee attacks, speed, and damage. So they are a good flavor choice. For the Chaos Lord, unfortunately, nothing of note. So, and he does have an equivalent with the Exalted Hero of Corn, therefore, just steal the hero. For the Demon Prince Corn version, again, crazy good combatant. It's like a very big monster. Um, but there's no notable benefits to a new race by having this unit. I will put it under flavor choice. For the Bloodthirster, um, I will say that there is an equivalent unit that you can recruit via the allied units system. And I think that you're better off just recruiting the unit rather than trying to get the AI to ally you as Corn, borrowing their army, getting that specific lord into attrition, and then getting him wounded that way. It's a bigger hassle than just recruiting the equivalent unit. So I will just put it here. For Kislev, let's start with the Boyars. Now, the Boyars have a skill line that is very similar to the Magistrates here by providing plus 10 this time, double what the Magistrate provides, to melee attack and melee defense for heroes in your army. So, again, if you are planning to do a hero Doomstack whatsoever, I will prioritize stealing that lord. Because let's say you happen to steal one that is disciplined, which can happen in their own traits. So that's plus 2, plus 10 melee attack already from their skill line. That's plus 12 melee attack for every hero in your army. That can be busted. And I haven't said anything yet about the plus 10 melee defense. So he is a very good hero Doomstack Lord. So if you're planning to do that, I will try to prioritize this. For the Druzina, he has different passive abilities about missile strength, reload, restock, and spell resistance. I wouldn't prioritize that very much. It's a flavor choice on my part. He doesn't have any equivalent hero, so that's why we can't bump it down. But for the ice witches, I will say that it's better off just stealing their hero counterpart. Now for the lizardmen, I have done the lizardmen dirty in my other tier lists so far, so I will apologize beforehand. They are very good monstrous units. The thing is, I've always tried to rank this different tier list according to a certain methodology. And that methodology has always been if I'm stealing something into my new race, I want it to enhance the race that I've stolen into. And most of the lizard men are very good on their own, and they're not boosting the units in the Tomb King roster for the sake of the example, or in the Bretonnian roster, and so on and so forth. So that was my criteria. Even though I will acknowledge time and time again that they are crazy good in battle. After I've said all of that, I will say that the Saurus Lords have an equivalent hero, and they are as good as the Lord version. For the Croxigor, you have no equivalent hero, and he has a different passive ability that is called Aura of Endurance that boosts, if I'm not mistaken, leadership, which is not very, very useful, so I will put it under flavor choice. Plus, this thing is a massive killer, so if you just put it in a melee blob and it will kill anything in its radius. So it is very good. The Slan mages are amazing, frankly. They are crazy good casters. They have different passive abilities that reduce the damage around them, and they are magic batteries like crazy. I think it's good to have them as variety. Plus, they have access to a very, very big pool of magic. They have very good magic reserves in their skill line. So, if you can steal them, I would probably try because they're really good casters. Just my OCD speaking. I need it color coded. Sorry for that. The last one is the Red Crested Skink. And this one has a similar skill line, just like the Boyar here. And it does boost melee attack and melee defense by 10 for the heroes embedded in your army. And that's a very good reason to try to steal it. Again, if you're trying to do a Doomstack of heroes, that's the Lord for you. For Norska, unfortunately, Norska has only one Lord choice, and it's not a very good one. He has access to a mammoth, so that's good. If you're looking to get a mammoth in your roster, I think that's a good way to do that. I will put it under flavor choice because, again, you can't boost much by having a Marauder Chieftain commanding your armies. Okay, we're starting to get into the different monogods. Now, I need to say a disclaimer here. The rosters of the monogods and the undivided Warriors of Chaos are intertwined. What does that mean? That means that in a lot of cases, the different lords in here have some way to boost the different units in those new races. So that's totally different from what I've said so far. Every single one of those lords didn't have an option in the red skill line to actually boost units in your roster. But since the Warriors of Chaos and the different monogod factions are sharing a lot of different units, that means that they can boost through the red line different units. That's not all units, okay? It's mostly units that are tainted in that specific god in the Warriors of Chaos, and vice versa in case of the monogods. So, with that distinction, do put it in mind. So let's start with the Nurgle one. The Nurgle Lord has a hero equivalent, the Exalted Hero of Nurgle, that does amazing. I would just steal that one. For the Sorcerers, same idea. They have an equivalent counterpart in their hero version, so I would not prioritize that. Same thing for the Herald of Nurgle. For the Demon Prince, again, amazing combatant. I think only to be fair, I will put it under flavor choice since I have put the corn version as well. And for the unclean ones, I will say the same thing like I've said for the Bloodthirster. Just recruit the equivalent unit. I wouldn't bother trying to steal the Lord per se. For the Ogre Kingdom, so you have the Tyrants that are just very good, bulky, monstrous infantry unit. They don't provide much on their campaign abilities on other armies. So we'll have to put it under do not bother. For the Paymaster, you have a very unique situation where it boosts melee attack and melee defense and weapon strength on rank 7 and above units in the army. So that's relevant for any roster whatsoever. So I will put it here. And I'm not sure what races can benefit from that, but I do think that providing a flat bonus for melee attack and melee defense for your units is very good. Maybe I've put it a bit too high. Maybe put it under Good Lord for variety. For the Slaughter Master, they do have an equivalent in their Butcher's hero equivalent, so I will just put it here. I don't think there's any benefit to having a Slaughter Master rather than have a Butcher. So just get a Butcher. For the Skaven, the Warlords have different unique skills with Ravenous expansion that brings more growth to your all provinces, but I don't think that's major. It's very good for the Skaven because you can disband a new lord and recruit a new lord at level 13 and put the 2 points and then disband them, and then you get a lot of passive growth to all your provinces. But frankly, whenever you are in a new race, you will not be able to replicate that. You will not be able to steal that many of them. So it will be redundant to say the least. So I will just say don't bother. So the Grey Seers have 2 Lords of Magic, one of them being the Plague Magic and the other being the Ruin Magic. Now, you only have an equivalent hero for this one. So I will just say just recruit the equivalent hero for this one. But for the Ruin, I would say that it's a flavor choice. If you want to have a Grey Seer commanding your armies, I don't have a good reason for it, but if you have it and it's in your desires, go ahead and do it. For the Warlock Engineer, there is a hero equivalent which is amazing and provides everything you ever would want from a hero. So just steal that equivalent version and don't bother. And for the Assassins, just as well, steal the equivalent hero. Let's do Slanesh real quick. We'll do the same tier list like we've done with the different monogods. So you have an equivalent. You don't have yet an equivalent hero here. So I will say that probably in the DLC this will be fixed. So for now, we'll just say don't bother, but do put a note to yourself. It's probably going to be here in a month or two. For the Demon Prince, I will put it here since I want to be fair. And for the different demons, they do have a hero counterpart, so we will have to put them here. And this one have a unit counterpart, therefore we'll put it here. Let's do Zinch if we're at it as well. So the Lord, you have a hero equivalent, not doing the same things, but you do have hero equivalent. Same thing for this one, and same thing for these ones. For the Demon Prince, I will put it up here because I think it's only fair. And you have a unit that does the same thing for this one. So I think we've done the whole chaos theme really quickly. For the Tomb Kings, you have a hero equivalent for the Lord here. So I will just recruit that one. For the Vampire Coast, you have a hero equivalent of these lords here. They're practically the same. They are a version of a female and a male, but technically they are the same. So I would just take the hero version instead of the lords because I couldn't find any good reason to have the lords outside of their faction. So these ones are done. For the vampires, I will say again that the vampires are very, very good lords in general. They carry the army practically. In the rosters of the vampire accounts, the lord is 90% of your balance of power rather than have the units hold it. And yet, whenever you try to steal them outside of their race, they're not really beneficial in a lot of ways unless you are playing an undead faction. So it's either Tomb Kings, Vampire Coast, or the Vampire Counts themselves. So you can't usually steal a lord to your own race. It's a bit dumb because you have access to the actual lord by yourself. So I will rank them under flavor choice, most of them, because they usually don't have a hero counterpart. So you do have a vampire hero. So you do have a counterpart for this one. So we'll put this one here. You don't have a melee focused and also a good caster hero in the vampire counts hero list. So I'll put it under flavor choice. The Strigoi are good combatants, but I would not, you know what? I'll just bump this one to have a good lord for variety, because I think that if you put these ones in charge of a Tomb King army as well as Vampire Coast armies, I think you will get in some benefits because they are better lords than these ones. And obviously they can cast spells, which the Tomb King itself can't. So I think I'm better off this way. Same thing for these. So that's the Necro Arcs. I've also done the Bloodlines as well here, so you might see them this way. And the Master Necro Arc, I think, is good to be here. Let's go through them real quick. And the Strigoi's ones, I think, are flavor choice. So just to make the distinction, Van Karstein Bloodline. This one is a regular vampire. Master Necroarch, if I'm not mistaken, that's the bloodline for the dragons, right? Yeah, the dragon bloodline, if I'm not mistaken. And this one is just a Necromancer Lord. He does have a hero equivalent, so I think I'll just go here. Okay, I think I'm good with this rating right now. Oh, I forgot to do the undivided one. Demon Prince Undivided, don't even bother. It's just a joke by this point. For the Chaos Lords, they do have here the hero equivalent, so I wouldn't even bother. And the Lord itself has the Exalted Hero, so I wouldn't bother as well. Just steal the hero equivalent. For the Wood Elves, we're down to the last bit. The Glade Lord have passive melee attack, melee defense, or missile strength abilities. Actually, they all have, but those passive abilities are reduced to a certain radius, so that's not too impactful. The spell weavers do have some bonuses for speed as well for the army, but then again, it's not anything major. I will say that the Glade Lords practically have the Glade Captain as their counterpart, so I would just steal that. For the Spell Weavers, again, same thing. It's the Spell Singers that you have as a hero equivalent. And for the Treemen, now the Treemen have no counterpart as a hero, and they are amazing good combatants, magic batteries when they are in forest, and they have access to magic themselves. And in some unique traits, they can actually become a Mortis engine. So because you can't guarantee that trait, I will say that they are good lords to have for variety. But frankly, if you get that trait where they are a Mortis engine, they become a very good value even to a new race, because they have access to healing magic plus, you know what, that's enough. That's enough to qualify as adds enough value to a new race. They have access to healing magic, most races don't have. Plus, they don't have an equivalent hero, so that's fine. I think it should be here. I think my list is a bit divisive. I hope you will find some new information that you didn't know about the game in that video. I will say that this concludes our stealing theme videos for now. my next idea is to probably do some mix and matches between the heroes that I've stolen into new races and see how they buff the units in that specific race. Trying to do some fusion Doomstacks in a way. Thank you for being so patient with me and teaching me a lot about the game throughout this journey. I will see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, like, and share your feedback. I would really love to keep learning. Bye bye.